Hi there, welcome to Flunkin' Dreams. These are my Monolith palettes ranked. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. Today I am kicking off a little mini-series again. In case you are unfamiliar with the channel, I do a little mini-series every month, and it's November, and I was like, you know what? I haven't chatted about eyeshadow palettes, like dedicated eyeshadow palette videos in a while, so it's time for eyeshadow palette week. And I thought, wouldn't it be fun if I gathered all of the Monolith palettes that I've accumulated in the past year? So from like January till now onwards that I've tried and tested, and rank them for you all. It just so happens to be, I didn't know this when I was planning to film this video, that today, as you're watching this video, is the last day of the Monolith Black Friday sale. They started a new drop on Sunday, and then until the 18th of November, you can get 25% off the entire website. That does exclude the items that were released in like one or two previous releases that they've done. So some of the newer things aren't on sale, but there's loads that you can get a discount on. So today's that last day. Tomorrow, on the 19th of November, because I am affiliated with Monolith, in case you didn't know, you can get 5% off of your order again with code _Micah_5. I'll pop it on the screen here. My code is always deactivated around launch times, and then they reactivate it once the sale is over. So unfortunately, my code isn't going to be active if you want to shop anything today, but I was like, you know what? These are the things that came in either because I purchased them myself or because they were sent to me very kindly by Monolith. That's one of the perks of being their affiliate, is that I do get sent some things. I do not always get to choose the things I'm sent, but often I am, and these are just some things that came in. So let's chat and rank some Monolith palettes. So there are 17 palettes in this video in total today. I do have a couple of things still in my Shop My Stash that I'm still testing out for you. That review will be coming, I hope, next week. So that includes 4 palettes, and I did manage to snatch up a couple of things in the sale myself. I did have a code with them, but you'll see that in an upcoming haul, what I did decide to pick up myself. But these are the 17 palettes that I was either sent or I bought them with my own money through this website. And I just love them for the fact that they are an EU-based retailer that just stocks so many different indie brands. And it just makes it so much easier to try loads of different brands because you don't have to pay for additional shipping and handling fees. Now, I do think that if I go on the official websites for a lot of these brands and I look at the price point, what the palette goes for, the price on Monolith tends to be a little bit higher usually, not only because of the exchange rate from dollars to euros, often dollars being a little bit cheaper than euros if you do live in the EU, but it's just because you no longer have to pay shipping and handling fees as an individual, you just make it a little bit more affordable that way. I have definitely have brands in here that I've bought from myself through their official websites, and then sometimes it can just happen with the additional taxes you have to pay once the product comes to your country, and if the palette is a little bit heavier, very often these indie brands don't have deals with postal services and stuff, so very often the product isn't shipped by weight, so that just makes it more expensive for you as an individual to buy. For Monolith, you can get free shipping, I think, if you spend over 100 euros, which sounds like a lot, but a lot of these palettes are already 50, 60, sometimes plus euros if you pay for them with your own money. So that does mean that if you buy 1 or 2 palettes, you can very often already get free shipping. And that's just the way it goes. Yeah. So to me, that's also one of the reasons why I still purchase from the website myself. I'm not sent everything in PR. I do have to say that everything I have here for you today is mostly what was sent to me in PR. And I just like them for that. And it's actually you guys, my viewers, who put me on to them, asking me like, hey, is this a reliable website? Have you ever heard of these guys? And look what they have to offer. It seems like they're doing a really good thing. And they've really managed to have more brands on the website as time has gone on. I think I've been buying from them for like 2 or 3 years now, and then they didn't start an affiliate link program until like last year. So I have been buying from them for more than a year, possibly already 2 years myself anyways. So for me, it just makes it super easy, and these are just some lovely things. I'm going to be starting with the bottom, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 palettes that I have. These like, this is nothing on Monolith, but I just don't like everything. But like I said, this way I just get to try more. And I'm not entirely sure whether these were sent to me. I think I paid for one of these with my own money, and the other one was sent to me, or the other way around. I don't know. But Gourmande Girls, Bitten, and Frozen Kiss. I like the Frozen Kiss a little bit better than I do the Bitten palette. I got these at the start of the year, and the Bitten palette is lovely. This was a Valentine's Day release, and the color story looks so fabulous in the pan. But here's my issue with both of these Gourmande Girls palettes, is that in practice, I didn't like them as much as some of the other things I'm about to show you. It just comes down to preference for me. I found that the mattes in here were a little bit, like, difficult to blend. They kind of skipped, so I'm 40 years old, like, I turned 41 actually in July, and my lids aren't the smoothest anymore, so if a formula is a little bit tough to blend, and this really happened with this, is that I got these like vertical lines in my eyeshadow from where my eyeshadow would just skip over my skin. It was not a good look. Difficult to blend. The shimmers were pretty, but I also kind of struggled putting looks together with this. Not all of the shades pooled on my skin the way they look in the pan. And that's always an issue, especially if like you have a colorful background like this, then it can be difficult to tell what a shade might do on your skin tone. And for me, it just didn't quite come together for that reason. The Frozen Kiss, similar story. I did like the quality of this a little bit better than I did the Bitten palette, but this is so haphazard. It goes all over the place, so I struggled putting looks together, and so many people were raving about this at the end of last year, of 2024, saying this was an excellent palette, that they had so much fun with this, and that it was a very cool tone color story. Sure, it has some cool tones in, but on me, things pulled quite warm, and the things that I would naturally gravitate towards as something for a crease shade were all quite warm for me as well. So I just felt that the mattes and the shimmers in here were a bit of a mismatch, and therefore the looks didn't quite come together the way I had hoped. After like just looking at the palette and going by swatches of what I had done, I was like, it's not really the right undertones for me. So that's why those two are all the way in the bottom. I decided to give Adept another whirl. This was something that I could pick in PR. And I was like, this was a newer release, the Emo palette from Adept this year. And if you follow my channel, you know my struggle with Adept. Again, a brand I've bought from their official website before myself. I got a couple of things through Monolith with my own money before. And this was sort of like their last hoorah, the last time that I was like, okay, I'm going to try them. The palettes with Adept, I know so many people in the comments are always like, yeah, but they're beautiful palettes. They are. They are stunning to look at, to swatch. And if you love intense shimmers, these are beautiful. But on Monolith, these retail for close to 100 euros. And I don't feel that these are worth 100 euros. They're just not. This is not Pat McGrath level eyeshadow. Because price point wise, that's what we're sneaking up towards, right? This is almost getting into Pat McGrath mothership territory. Those have gotten more expensive over time, but like I bought my first mothership for 120 euros. Like for me, price point wise, this falls in the same ballpark. And I'm not getting that kind of quality eyeshadow here. And one of my main issues with Adept has been that a lot of their shimmers look so pretty because they are a very creamy texture. It's almost this oily, slick feeling formula when you stick your finger in. And I had the unfortunate luck that one of my early Adept purchases already expired within a year. The Minka palette all of a sudden started to smell rank. I had the one in the old packaging. They now do one that's called Minka that looks like this, that has a lot of the similar shades in. So for me, I just feel this is too expensive for what I get. The Emo, though, I wanted to try because it does have a little bit more mattes in, and the only shimmer I don't like the look of is this yellow, and the rest, pretty cool toned, really nice shimmering textures, and again, lovely shades. But Adept is one of the first brands that also started to do these like holographic looking shimmers. There are 2 or 3 of them in here. We get one here. Now I need to, like here and also here. This actually to me looks more like a purple. It has this really beautiful shift in. And what my issue was with those 3 shades is that only one of those is light enough where I can use it all over the lid. The other 2 shades are simply too dark for me, so I could not get the holographic effect to show up on my eyes because one of them is essentially a dark gray with holographic specks. I could only use that as liner. So for me, the way their palettes are laid out, the ratio for mattes to shimmers that we're getting has improved over time. Before they didn't even put any mattes in. And a lot of people are saying these palettes are expensive because they put so many different textures in. I'm like, give me fewer textures, give me fewer shades, make a more curated color story, and focus on doing a palette that's going to last me at least 5 years in terms of expiration date. And then we'll talk. And so far, I don't feel that's the case. So that's why I can't rank this palette by Adept any higher. Not because it doesn't have really beautiful shades. That's not why I don't love Adept. But in terms of how things come together, the type of formula they have that is prone to expiration, combined with the super high price point, I definitely think that this is the most expensive palette I'm showing you today. It's just not worth it. You can spend that amount of money on almost 2 of the palettes I'm about to show you that I like a lot more. This was a bit of a letdown, I'm afraid. I was so disappointed with my Unoriginal Nudes by Bella Beauté Bar. However, as you will see later on in this video, I do enjoy a little bit of Bella Beauté Bar eyeshadow. It's nothing against the brand. There's just a texture in here of a couple of the shimmers that I didn't love. Because in theory, and this is why I wanted to test it out, I paid for this with my own money. I was like, oh, this looks absolutely stunning. I love a good neutral. Everybody knows that about me. So when one of my favorite indie brands came out with a neutral palette, of course I had to check it out. I knew that there was a small chance that this could be sent in PR, but it was summertime when this came out, and summer in the makeup industry and also as a content creator is a bit, everybody's traveling. I was traveling. There just wasn't any point to be sending out PR. But I knew I still wanted this. So once I came back from my trip, I was like, right, I'm going to place myself in order. And this was one of the bits that I got. And this is just such a beautiful palette in theory. In theory. It's just, I told you guys before, it was mainly this shimmer and this sort of like goldy bronze thing here. They had a very flaky texture to them that unless you used a finger, it didn't show up. They felt a little bit gritty. They were very prone to creasing. And what I experienced with those 2 shimmers is that, like with the Gourmande Girls mattes skipping, these skipped when I tried to blend them with a blush. And they have a sort of almost like glitter glue-like element to them where they just stick down and then they won't budge. Whereas I want shadows to blend. That's my one rule. I need shadows to blend. I don't have a lot of lid space. If I use something with my finger, I will only be able to tap it onto the mobile lid and that's it. But I want shadows to be versatile, to be able to use them on multiple different spots around my eye without making a fuss, with brushes. I need to be able to blend things. And there were just things in here that didn't blend well, and that just made me a little bit apprehensive about it. Does it have beautiful things in? Yes. The mattes in here were out of this world amazing. These are some of the best mattes in my collection. But it's really those 2 shimmers that just made me... It was such a struggle bus to use this. And I was like, Bella Beauté Bar, what are we doing here? But like I said, I do think this was a one-time thing only. I haven't seen this formula in another Bella Beauté Bar palette. I'm currently testing out the Dark Dreamscape and the Coalescence that they did in collaboration with No Pore Makeup. And I feel both of those palettes don't have that. In fact, I'm wearing the Coalescence on my lids today. So there's that. I do really enjoy Bella Beauté Bar again as a brand, but this palette in particular, I don't know about it. I'm not really sure. Then one of the very first things that was sent to me in PR by Monolith, I didn't get to choose myself. It was the Lovers from Cosmic Beauty. This, I mentioned in my new makeup releases, wasn't something I was super interested in. If this hadn't been sent in PR, I would not have this in my collection. But I do love the brand. Cosmic Beauty has wonderful things, and I like a lot of their palettes that I've tested out in the past. But this, color story-wise, it was just too similar to things I already have, and that's the big letdown here. Does it have the Cosmic Beauty formula that I know I love? Absolutely. This has beautiful quality makeup, and I was able to pull some really stunning looks out of this. You get essentially 4 like quintets. You get this like neutrally one, and this purpley pink one, and then there's a green tone one, and this bluey teal one. Works really well. These colors also work really well if you juxtapose them. So if you go for opposites, I mean, the pinky purples with the blues will be pretty, or the pinky purples with the greens will be pretty. The neutrals go with the blues, the neutrals go with the pinks, the neutrals go with the greens. Like, everything goes together as well. But still, this hasn't become my favorite because I have like blue, green, purple palettes. I already have so many of them that I just like better than this. So it's not my favorite color story-wise, and that's why this is ranked so low down. I have some more Cosmic Beauty here, and the only reason why these 2 palettes are this low isn't because I don't like them, but because I need to test them out a little bit more before I give all of my thoughts. I just had a little too many palettes in my October review, so I was able to do 1 look each with the Muse and the Smoulder palette. I've already promised to you guys that I will be going back to these in December. I probably won't have that many things to test out for my December review, and so I will be putting these back into my Shop My Stash to do the remainder of the looks. In case you don't know anything about how I review eyeshadow palettes, I only review palettes essentially if I've tested every single shade in the palette. And if there's 20 shades in each palette, I need to do like 4 different looks at least to be able to manage to do that. Maybe 3, but I managed to do 1 each, so I know a little bit of what the quality is like. The Smoulder is their newest release. The Muse is an older release by the brand. These were also part of my I need to purchase these with my own money sort of vibe thing that I had over the summertime. And I can definitely tell that the Smoulder has a more updated formula. They've definitely changed things. Color story-wise, the Muse is one that almost got away. And a lot of you guys were like, you know what, Micah, the Muse is being restocked for the last time by the brand. Maybe you can get it, because I do think this is going to go really well with another palette I have from the brand, the Serenity. And this is one that was still like sort of itching in my brain. You know how that sometimes goes? This is why I don't always buy things straight away when they come out, because sometimes you just have these products that when you sit on it for a while, you just can't get them out of your head. And that's always a sign to me anyways, where I feel like, okay, I need to test this out, because, and that's what happened to the Muse. Now, I did 1 look. I think I pulled in some of the purpley tones and some of the green tones as far as I remember. It was a beautiful look, but like I said, I can tell that this is their older formula. I think this was their release after Serenity. So, and Serenity was released in like 2020 or something. So this formula is a few years old, and you can tell. The one I'm more excited for is the Smoulder, so I definitely think that if I were to rank these palettes again when I've tested them more, I'm going to do a like 2025 palette ranking again in January. I always do them twice a year. I do it in like June, July for the palettes I've tried up until that point, and then in January I do the ranking for the entire year. So all of these palettes are going to show up in that for sure. But the Smoulder, it's their cool tone release. The minute I spotted this, I knew I was going to like it. It's the Cosmic Beauty formula that I love that they're doing now. There are some more shimmers in here. I focused a little bit on this like side here to set up a look. It's got a couple of bluish things in there, but overall it just has such a good cool to neutral vibe to it that I really enjoyed. And it's got a lot of like cool tone taupey things in here. I always appreciate a cool tone taupe. But like I said, I still need to do a couple more looks with this, but I just know that this is going to rise up the ranks as I test it out more and I get to wear it more, because this is my comfort zone. These are the kind of things I just love. So yeah, the Smoulder palette, I definitely suspect is going to go up in my yearly ranking. This could very potentially be a top 10, top 15 palette for sure. And then we get to sort of like the medium point. This is of course top 10, but there were only 17 palettes here. But these I feel are sort of in that mid-range. So these were palettes that I enjoyed. They were good, but there was something about them where I was like, not so sure. They were definitely not top 5, like top favorites of the year. I definitely think if I do my yearly ranking, these are also going to be somewhere in the middle of that ranking. So that was sort of my decision here. And we have a couple of things that were re-releases this year. So both of these palettes already existed in the past, and I tested out the original versions of this in the past as well, that I got through the brand myself. The Smoky Glam and the Nearly Natural, this is by Glaminatrix, and this one is by Bella Beauté Bar. So I was really happy that these were sent to me in PR. I don't think I would have gotten them otherwise. I mean, it makes good content for the channel, because especially for the Bella Beauté Bar Smoky Glam, I still have the big guy. I still have the original version. This one, I remember not liking the original version, and I pulled my favorite shades out of it and put it in my singles collection. So I know I still have shades of the Nearly Natural somewhere in my life, but I forgot to label them, so I don't know where they went. But yeah, these were beautiful palettes, but I do think if you're coming to these later and you didn't test out the original version, you'll like these better than I did. Both of these I felt didn't need to happen, you could say. The original Smoky Glam has far more cool tone neutrals in than this does. Why this is called the Smoky Glam palette, I don't understand. It's a lot of pink, and then we get a little bit of the smokiness with the cool tones down here. Whereas the other one was like, the top half was all pinks, and the bottom half was all of the cool tone neutrals, and that was my favorite part of the palette, and that's the thing that they ended up not putting in here a lot. And I also felt like I did a look with each row, I think, when I tested it out. So each row got a look. With whichever pink row I used, you couldn't tell the difference. So did we need this? We didn't. So this, I felt, was just a bit of a superfluous release from where I'm coming from. But if you're looking for a good pink tone palette, and you just judge it by what it actually does now, and you don't compare it to the old version, then I think you might like this. It does have the beautiful Bella Beauté Bar formula that I like, so that's what it's got going for it. Just that I was able to compare this to the original version and was like, why did you do this? Why? And I felt similarly about the Glaminatrix Nearly Natural. This just wasn't a super exciting release for me because, like I said, I already tested out the original. That one had 15 shades in. This one now has 20. We do get some really beautiful shades like these like greeny yellows. That was my favorite part about the original palette anyways as well. I think what I ended up doing with this is that I ended up using it like this when I did the looks, if I remember correctly. And you get some really stunning shades in here. There are crease shades in here that work for me really well. There are some beautiful shimmers in. This is the like little dime-sized thing that Glaminatrix does, which I like as well. Those tend to be my favorite Glaminatrix palettes, save for something that's still coming up. But yeah, this is beautiful. It is a beautiful neutral palette. If you want my advice, like should you get the Bella Beauté Bar Unoriginal Nudes or this, because I feel they're pretty similar, this one would be my pick. But I believe this has already been discontinued. That's another thing with Glaminatrix. Like, they discontinue their palettes so quickly that I feel we as consumers don't even get time to like make up our mind and get the money together to buy something like this, because this now also became more expensive, I feel. Of course, I got the original one that they used to do through their official website, which is based in Australia. That was a pricey purchase, let me tell you. And to then be disappointed with it. But yeah, you do need to know one thing about this palette. It's mostly warm neutrals that you're getting with this. It's a little bit more glammed up, a little bit more smoky in places than the original was, I found. And we are definitely getting some more cooler, true neutrals in here than the original. So I do like this one a little bit better than the original, which is why I'm ranking this one ever so slightly higher than the Smoky Glam, because I feel that this definitely did build on the original and improved on it. Whereas with the Smoky Glam, I was like, why? But I still feel why, because we already got this palette by this brand. We didn't need the re-release, because they have been doing quite a few neutral things in the past year. Glaminatrix has. Like, they did the April Fool's joke, and I was like, this came out around the same time. I was like, why do we need all of these things, you know? I just don't often get it. It's just overkill at this point. And that's why I don't love these palettes, because they sort of, in my brain, are part of that overkill, sort of oversaturated makeup atmosphere that we have going on. This one is going to be ranked in the middle as well. I did my review for this. This is another Glaminatrix palette, but this is in collaboration with Monolith. It wasn't exclusive to Monolith though, because Glaminatrix also sold it on their website, and they were selling, Glaminatrix was selling this as well with their, like, in collaboration with their US warehouse. Apparently Glaminatrix has been using unearthly warehouses to ship their products in the US. That's been sort of like a thing that some brands have been doing to get around some of the tariffs and not make things super expensive for US customers if they are not based in the US themselves. So yeah, you were able to get this no matter where you were in the world, but it was limited edition, which is again why I'm not ranking it any higher. I did like the shades in here, but I do feel that we get very similar level shimmers in here. So I feel like shimmer-wise, this could have be more interesting, because I also feel that Glaminatrix as a brand can do these really interesting shimmers, and they didn't really put them in here. I felt that that was like a way of keeping the costs of this palette down. And I also saw lots of people doing super vibrant looks with this. And on me, everything had a little bit of gray in it. So I think that has to do with my undertone not being like, I think if you have a warmer undertone, this may look better than on me, but it just wasn't as vibrant as I had expected, judging by some of the looks that I've seen people do with it as well. Still a pretty palette. You get 3 neutrals, you get a couple of green tones, and you get a couple of purples. I believe this is still available through Monolith themselves, but if you're looking for this through Glaminatrix, then it's probably going to be very hard to find. They, the brand Glaminatrix posted on their website, oh, we only have so many units left, and I have seen also on their Instagram that they're not going to be remaking this anytime soon, so this was truly, truly limited edition. It was 1 drop, and that was it. So if you were interested in this, get it while you can. Then this is, again, the next palette I want to show you is the Green Goddess by Bella Beauté Bar. So this I bought because I really enjoyed Realm of Fairies, and this palette is styled in a very similar way, but with a different undertone. So this has neutrals, a couple of warm tones, and then a lot of grays. The grays are beautiful. Grays? This has neutrals, and then the warm tones, and then it has the greens. And the greens all have a gray undertone. So for a cool tone lover like myself, these were excellent gray tones. I just felt that these warm tones fell a little bit out of step. I would have liked other neutrals there, so cooler tone neutrals to tie in with the gray undertones of the greens, or to give me different green tones. For a Green Goddess palette, I wanted it to be more green. That's just the way I felt, but like if I ignore this half of the palette and I just look at, oh, those were gorgeous. And also some of these like shimmers that it has, really nice cool green shifts. It was beautiful. It was absolutely stunning. So I do enjoy most of this palette. The formula is great. I just wanted more from the color story. After I had tested it out, I definitely feel like I could have done without those peachy tones that it has. Could I this is a magnetic palette, could I reorganize some of my Bella Beauté Bar palettes and that have similar sized pans and put it together that way? I definitely think I can. Maybe it's the same size as Smoky Glam, and I can take a couple of those cool tones that I would like to keep from the Smoky Glam and put them in here. That could be an idea. We'll see if that ever, maybe with my next declutter I decide to do that, but yeah. Green Goddess, beautiful palette, really did like it, but I want it more. I just want it more. And that leaves me the Ophiuchus by Terra Moons Cosmetics. This was sent to me by Monolith when I placed my own order. They decided to like sneakily like drop 2 bits in PR in there. So again, not something that was on my wish list. But can we take a minute for the Infinity Swirl snake design? That has my heart. I really like it. This, again, beautiful color story. It's a little bit warm toned for me. Like, now that I look at it, hold on. Let's regroup for a sec. Hold on. Here is the Bella Beauté bar I just showed you. Here's the Terra Moons. They're essentially the same palette. Cool tone greens with warm tones and neutrals. Cool tone greens with warm tone neutrals. This just has some more blues in though. It's got some teals. The Green Goddess doesn't have the teals. But I do like this. And Terra Moons as a brand I had tried before. But I mainly had tried some of their singles. I had never tried one of their palettes before. And I do like this. I have to say I really like it. But this does have some like flaky shimmers. We know them. A lot of indie brands do them. They are never my favorite because they crease on me. And that's why this isn't ranked in the top 5, because this creased on me. But it did. I got some stunning looks out of it, like with the Green Goddess. No notes. It's just not my favorite because of the creasing. And then we get to the top 5. These are the top 5 best eyeshadow palettes that I tried through Monolith this year. And number 5 would be Blend Bunny's Beauty Below. This palette put Blend Bunny back on the map for me. I've said many times in the past how much I enjoy the Blend Bunny formula, but their palettes don't always come together for me. I get way too many mattes compared to the shimmers, but their shimmers are lovely. And now they're like doing this Ellis Atlantis collab with like the old matte and then the old shimmer. And I'm like, just give me the combination of the two. If if Blend Bunny's palettes were differently laid out, I would have so many more of them. But the Beauty Below was marketed as a companion palette to the Lure, which they did before, with the Lure being like happy, pretty mermaids, and this one being the dead killer machines that they actually are deep down in the surface, which I lived for. Everywhere I looked, this was very much deep, dark, yet colorful. And I was thinking when this came out, that's probably going to look stunning on a deeper skin tone. Is this going to be for me? So I wasn't sure. But oh boy, am I happy that this was sent to me in PR. Just this quad alone with the periwinkle purples has my heart. This, to me, falls into 6 different quads, with each quad having 2 mattes and 2 shimmers. There's one shimmer, which is this pinky tone here, that isn't the same quality as the shimmers in the rest of the palette. That's the only shade that was a bit of a letdown. But the rest of this, Blend Bunny, if you come out with a new palette, make it something like this. It's the colors work, the shimmers work, the mattes work. This, if every single Blend Bunny palette was something like this, but like a cool tone neutral, and then like, I would snatch it up in a heartbeat. So this to me shows me again that I do love Blend Bunny. It's just the color stories don't always come together with me. I don't get the mix of formulas that I would ideally want to have. And so I don't get all of their new releases. But the Beauty Below kind of stole my heart a little bit this year. It kind of did. It kind of did. Another palette that kind of stole my heart, Timeless Tones by Glaminatrix Cosmetics. This, I'm not going to call it perfection, and it's not as cool toned as a lot of people were saying, because instead of cool tone neutrals, you get blues and greens. I definitely had a couple of notes with this when I was testing it out. I was saying how this wasn't, like, this is just not taupe enough for me for it to go into the crease. So either make it a lighter blue, like we got with the greens, or make this a true taupe. That was the only shade where I was like, That was the only note I really had. But like you can see here, you get this row, you get the blues, you get the greens, you get the neutrals. It's got a row of toppers and then these like mid-tone shimmers. This was excellent. I really enjoyed playing with this. This was such a beautiful palette. It's a great way, like, if you have, like, if you feel you have all of your cool tone neutrals down and you're looking for something a little bit more fun to play with, this can be a good addition to your makeup collection. So Timeless Tones by Glaminatrix, again, I believe already discontinued. What's going on there? But I did really enjoy this one. Now this top 3 is completely arbitrary. I think if I come back to this at the end of the year and I rank all of my palettes, these are definitely contenders for like a top 5 or a top 10 for sure. But I could completely mix up the order. But this is just where my brain is going now. Bella Beauté Bar Ocean Jewel. This was so beautiful. This was released over the summertime. It's got these fun, punchy, bright blues, purples, a bunch of neutrals, and these sort of like neon yellowy green tones in. It's so beautiful. I did have a little bit of issue with this, especially this one here. You can sort of see the little dents. These like multi-chromes, there were 2 of them that had a little bit of this like waxy feel to it that I didn't enjoy all that much, but the rest of it was fine. It's really nice and vibrant. I am currently testing out the Dark Dreamscape, and as I was using it, I was like, it's like the Ocean's Jewel's little sister. So again, not something we needed. If you have this, don't get the Dark Dreamscape. If you have the Dark Dreamscape, don't get this, because they are too similar. Sure, you get different colors in each one, so in your brain it's going to feel like they're different, but essentially it's both of those palettes are going to give you bright, fun, colorful looks on your eyes. Do you want them to be more true purple, true blue with a pop of neon pastel? Or do you want them to be more like pinky periwinkle blue? That's the choice. Dark Dreamscape is more the pinky periwinkles. This is more like true purples and true blues. So pick your poison and choose one of the 2. You don't need both. You really don't need both. I do enjoy both. This is the Bella Beauté Bar formula I love. And the Ocean Jewel kind of blew my socks off when I was trying it. So it has to be ranked this high. Speaking of a palette that blew my socks off, this was again slipped into that order that I placed, and Monolith was like, surprise, we're gonna give you the Bonfire by Glaminatrix, and this was not on the wish list. I remember talking about this in my new makeup releases, going like, it looks pretty, it's probably something I like, but look at the orange. If you know anything about me, you know that I love these green tones, I love the cool tones, but something like this, it's a little bit out of my comfort zone. But so many of you, when I was wearing that look, were commenting saying, wow, the orange looks great. I was like, yeah, I know. This was beautiful. A stunning palette. Absolutely stunning. Again, probably discontinued because that's how Glaminatrix just runs their brand, it seems. But yeah, beautiful, beautiful colors in here. Really nice high shine shimmers. I love the balance of mattes and shimmers in here. Again, each quad has a matte and like 2 mattes and 2 shimmers. Everything plays together really nicely. You could put the neutrals with the greens. You could put the greens with the oranges. I mean, everything just goes. And it was an instant hit. I tried this out. I was like, wowza, that's some good eyeshadow. I don't have that very often anymore. That feeling of like, ooh, this is why I'm testing out so many things. And finally, the #1 palette that I've tested out, because I shop through Monolith and get sent some things in PR, is something I paid for with my own money. Gourmande Cosmetics Magnetic Mineralia. This, the minute I spotted it, again, the snake design, that's where we start. But look at the shades in the palette. And now look at what we get inside. Do you see? The purpley tones, the gray tones, the yellowy tones. It's all there. It's in the packaging. So the packaging design is just ingenious. The color story is this, again, a fun take on a cool neutral, because shades in here are mainly cool toned, save for these yellowy tones, but they sort of amp it up. There's beautiful shimmers in here. This is such a good palette. Like, This is such a good one. I really enjoy this. I think it's one of my favorite palettes of the year. It's definitely bringing something new to the table. I feel it is unique. It has a good formula. It didn't crease on me too badly, but it still has really fun shimmers to play with. A good ratio between mattes and shimmers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shimmers, and then like there's 15 shades, so that means there's 9 matte. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mattes. I can't do math today. It's just too overwhelming. But yeah, this, again, we just need to take a collective sigh. And this, out of everything I've tested out this year, so far from Monolith, this is the thing that comes out on top. I'm really happy that I decided to place an order and get this one because it's a stunner. It's a stunning looking palette and I really enjoy this one. So if you were to get just one thing through Monolith, and I believe this one is in the sale that's still going on today, as far as I know. I don't know. I didn't check. They just put everything on a huge list, and usually I just put the things I want to get on my wish list, and then I just transfer it straight to my shopping cart, and then I just pay, and I'm away when they do these drops, because that's like I'm not gonna sit there and scroll through the entire website again. That's another thing that I do like about them is that they have the wish list option. And that a couple of days in advance, the tab will already be there. So you can just go through it and like select the things you would like to get. And you can literally be on the website for like 3 minutes, pay, and be away. So yeah, this one I really, really do enjoy. So if you were thinking of getting anything, then this would be my #1 pick of everything I tried so far. So the Varun Cosmetics Magnetic Mineralia is definitely up there for me. It's definitely up there. So that's it. There you have it. All 17 Monolith eyeshadow palettes that I've tested out and reviewed so far. There's still a couple of that are being added as we speak because I'm still reviewing 4. And then there will be a couple in my December Shop My Stash as well. So there will be more Monolith palettes that I will test out this year. Like I said, I just really still enjoy them. I still shop through them if I need to. If there's something that I still want to test out that I didn't receive in PR, then I do go back to them. But I just feel incredibly lucky that they are sending me so many fun things and that they are one of the very few like collaborators for a content creator who does allow you to also sometimes pick things yourself. However, one of my top picks was something I would have never picked for myself, but they send it to me anyways, and it became a favorite. So there are definitely things that go into it that way. So I really hope this was helpful for you. Like I said, the sale is still on today. Some of these things may still be available and on sale at the same time. If not, then you can use my code starting tomorrow and get 5% off if that's what you're interested in, depending on what you like. So thanks so much for joining me here today. Thumbs up this video if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to see more by me. And I will be back really, really soon with a new video. And don't forget, every single video that goes live this week is going to be eyeshadow palette related. So check back for more, and I hope to see you in my next one. Take care. Bye-bye.